Hello again, welcome back, and thanks for taking the time to watch Hello Good Game. Today we're talking about Strixhaven School of Mages, everything you'll need to know as we get ready for the release date. We'll talk about the set details, themes, and mechanics, even breaking down some of the new spoilers that intrigue me most thus far. With that being said, if you guys find any value within today's video, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to help support it. You can go above and beyond on Twitch, Patreon, YouTube, Amazon, Great Viking Games, into the AM, and by downloading Magic the Gathering Arena Assistant. With that all out of the way, let's break it down and enter the School of Mages. Woof. Alrighty, so Strixhaven School of Mages is the 87th Magic expansion. Woof. That just goes to show some of the resilient within the MTG community. I cannot wait for the 100th expansion. That is going to be insane, and it's coming up quick. Of course, we'll break down everything that you'll really need to know, just touching on important parts to me. The links will be provided in the description below if you want to go more in depth. So, Strixhaven includes some new cool things for us, like Learn, Magecraft, and Ward. It's scheduled for release on April 23rd, 2001 within the paper, and within Magic the Gathering Arena and online, April 15th, 2021. This will mean the pre-release event will be on April 14th, so mark your calendars for that. Breaking down themes and mechanics, we do have the return of MDFCs, which is really cool, the modal-faced cards. That was great. We also have food returning. We have new creature types of Inkling, Fractal, and new spell types of Lesson. Pests return for the first time in a long time, right? So breaking down everything that we'll need to know, we have Learn. Learn is a keyword action introduced in Strixhaven. If a spell or ability instructs you to learn, you have two choices. Your first choice is that you can discard a card and then draw a card. This is a great way to improve your hand, trading in extra lands or trading out undesirables for a chance at what you need, right? Perfect. However, your second choice is when learning, reveal a lesson card from outside the game, put it into your hand. A lesson is a spell type seen on instances and sorceries. There's a wide variety of lesson cards to represent a wide variety of area of study. Example, token generation, removal cards, and card draw. So Learn is really cool. There will be lesson cards, and we're going to break down some card examples in a little bit. I think we do have actually an example here I can pull up. Perfect. First day of class for 2 mana, instant speed. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it gains haste until the end of turn. Plus, it has a learn ability on it. So we could be casting this on our creature or whatever, and then grabbing another card from our sideboard, which is really cool. And this would be a lesson-based card from outside the game, which is very awkward in my opinion. In best of 3, sure, it's cool. In limited, absolutely great as well. But in standard, the consistency is going to go through the roof within best of 1. I think best of 1 environment is totally going to change. Right now we have Fae of Wishes, a Raven's Warning for sideboard tutors. And this is actually quite a bit, but when now it's just incorporated into our regular spell casting, I think that's going to be very powerful. Yes, we're limited to the cards that have lesson within them to pull, but I think we're going to get, obviously some pushed options there as well. So I think Learn is, absolutely amazing, and I'm really looking forward to playing some best of 1 decks with it. Magecraft up next, another ability keyword that causes an effect whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell. Obviously, these will be different for each creature and or planeswalker permanent that has Magecraft. And an example here is Professor Onyx. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell or copy it, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So the first part there is always going to be the same, but the trigger of that first part will be different. In this case, gain 2 life, lose 2 life, and it could be different in other cases as we do look and have more cards with Magecraft revealed to us. So this is really, really good. I feel that there will be a lot of spell casting, and If there is, for example, something that does, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, deal 2 damage to target creature or target opponent, the number of spells that you'll have to cast is greatly reduced, and we do have dual strike right now as well. 2 red mana, copy 4 or less instant or sorcery. You can foretell it for 1 even, which is really cool. So I'm really interested to see what kind of goodies we can get with Magecraft. And finally, Ward. Ward is an evergreen keyword action introduced in Strixhaven, School of Mages. Ward is a triggered ability, and Ward will have you countered target spell or ability an opponent controls unless its player or its controller pays an additional cost equal to the ward. Before, Ward was known as Frost Armor. Frost Titan and Diffusion Silver were examples of those, and we do have the new example here within Adrix and Nev Twincasters, which is an absolute amazing card. 4 mana, 2/2, Ward for 2, and whenever this creature becomes a target of a spell or an ability an opponent controls, counter it unless its controller pays 2. And this Ward ability can be, 2 mana. I believe it can even potentially be a different cost. It might always be 2 though. We'll have to get confirmation on that from someone. But I think the ward could be 5, for example, right? It doesn't always have to be ward 2, but again, we will need confirmation on that. And if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, create twice that many tokens instead, which is a pretty cool ability, but fitting for the twin casters. So that's all we'll need to know there within our keywords, and that we do have the food tokens returning, which are made by the chef. I don't know what that means. And then we break down the cycles, which we have the founders and apprentices, and then the deans as well. All of the deans are module-faced cards, which is pretty cool. These are probably some of the strongest cards in the set as we see them be slowly revealed to us. And we're going to break down the revealed cards to us at the end of this video here, so we won't get into that. And then we have mega cycles. These will be the dual lands, which I'm so excited for these. Having the ability to cast a dual land untapped is very good. We don't really have that yet. We lost our check lands, we lost our shock lands quite some time ago, so I'm really excited for that. And of course the commanders as well. Reprinted cards, notable cards, misprints, whatever it happens to be, it's all going to be included if you want to take a deeper look. And if you are looking to stay up to date, I really recommend the Magic Wizards homepage, right? Magic the Gathering, and then I'm always just hitting up the news tab, and then we go here to Daily MTG Archive, and you get to see every article that they've put out really forever, and you can work your way back and always stay up to date with the latest announcements, and they have wallpapers and stuff, which is pretty cool as well. So check this page out as well if you're interested. It's where I get a lot of my information from, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. And even the Magic stories here, if you want to take a read, you'll always be able to find the Magic stories if you want, and they're actually already coming out with Strixhaven story, which is really cool. So this is something that I personally love to read just to get a better handle on everything, and you can see just how long it is. There is a lot going on here, so that's always cool to have a little bit of extra content for you guys as well. So get that out of the way. Let's talk about some of the new cards, right? I want to get into it. First off, we do have the Mystical Archive, and I don't know how I've not talked about this yet, but this is a separate list included within Strixhaven. The way these cards are released in paper packs, you will find out within those articles. Personally, to me, the paper isn't a huge focus because I do play Arena and I live rurally, so there's no tournaments going on in COVID days anyway. So I love the art to collect it. Sure, that's great. However, these cards will not be playable in Standard unless they already are. The ones that are just reprints. There are, to my knowledge, no new cards from the archive because they're all old cards to be included within Standard. They're obviously all old reprints. The reprints are either already Standard legal or not, and we'll go off that basis and continue to follow those rules as rotation rolls around. With that being said, there is a lot of cool cards here. If you guys are into historic, not only is the art sick, but the cards are sick too. Again, you guys can go through all of these individually. I'm not a massive historic player right now, just because the audience really is new to the game. They don't have the card base yet, but as time continues to roll out, eventually we will make the transition. Not only myself, but other content creators as well. It's up to you guys to keep up and try to farm your collection, and become lifers like the rest of us, and then we will lead you into the path of historic. So check out all of these cards. Many of them are in Japanese. If you do, or this one's in German, I believe. You can click into them to change it, and there will be like a translation. Like if we click into this German one, there is the translation one there, and I'm looking at these through Mythic spoilers. There are many other options for you to use to look at the spoilers, but this is just one that I'm familiar with, right? So, the mystical archive is cool, but again, it's not my prime focus here. Wow, that was loud. My prime focus is just standard, so that's really what we're going to take a look at. And the learn cards, this is what's really quite interesting to me. We seem to have one in every color so far, which is great. And we even have colorless sorceries and instances within the lesson variety, which is really cool. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a colorless instant or sorcery, which is cool. So take note on that. For example, the environmental science. This is a lesson card, and the lesson cards are indicated by this symbol on the top left. So you will be using a learn card to draw the lesson card from your sideboard. Understand? If you don't, leave a comment below, and someone within the community will clarify for you. But again, lesson says that we can, or learn says that we can reveal a lesson card from our sideboard. In this case, this sorcery lesson is a good example of that. And searching your library for a basic land card, revealing it, putting it into your hand, then gaining 2 life for 2 mana. It's not great by any means, but it's actually not that bad. So as far as just random stuff goes, there's some knowledge for you, and I hope to see more cool examples of that. And of course, there's more mystical archive here, and some of this art is just ridiculous. Like they're coming full-fledged with the art. And that's what makes Magic so great. So I just kind of get mesmerized by that. And now let's touch on some of the more prevalent cards that have come out so far. The Shadrix Silver Quall is just so good. Flying double strike 2/5 for 5 mana. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may choose 2. Each mode must each mode must target a different player. Oh, and these are the different modes. I see. Target player creates 2/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying. Target player draws a card and loses 1 life. Target player puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature they control. Each mode must target a different player. Huh. So you really only want to choose... Like, that's actually hard, right? Because your opponent's going to be getting one of these. You may choose 2. Each mode must target a different player. Yeah, so maybe they don't have a creature, and you can put the +1/+1 counter on nothing because they don't control a creature. That's probably our best bet. Giving them a 2/1 that we can just kill right away, that's an option too. And having them draw a card and lose 1 life is an option, but it's awkward to give them a draw effect. I would much rather draw that card myself, right? So this is going to be a little bit awkward, but I do think that these Elder Dragons are going to be abused. I really like that. So, of course, when you're on Mythic Spoilers, you can even partake in the comments below, which is quite fun. So that's, the first card that really stood out to me. And then the next up is the Dean. And we'll look at all the Deans. These are all MDFCs. Legendary creature, bird, cleric, flying, vigilance. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. That's pretty good. Flying, vigilance, 1/1 for 2 mana that you can put +1/+1 counters on stuff. So not bad, right? Very good for a token-based deck potentially. And we also do have the Dean of Shadow on the other side for 4 mana, a 4/4. We can tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature. Then the Dean will deal 2 damage to that creature. A little bit awkward, but you can, if you have strong enough creatures, still increase the strength of yours, or maybe get the kill on theirs potentially somehow. And whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, draw a card. So this just screams Abzan Vornclex to me. But again, take it as you will. And for all the cards, leave your thoughts, comments, and opinions down below. Getting into the next Dean here, we have the Simic version. The first was the Silver Quill, and the Simic is the Quadrix, I believe. Dean of Substance and the Dean of Theory. Sustenance is a 2/2 for 3. Tap it to exile top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, put a study counter on it. Interesting. Then we can pay 5 as a repeatable, non-tapped ability to create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Then put a +1/+1 counter on it for each different mana value among non-land cards that you own in exile with study counters on them. Interesting. We have the Dean of Theory, flying 3/3 for 4 mana. We can pay X +2, tapping it to exile the top X cards of our library, put a study counter on each of them, and then you may put a card you own from exile with a study counter on it into our hand. I really like this. It seems kind of janky, a little bit expensive, but there's a deck in which this works. There's a control deck that uses this as its main engine, potentially. We'll see. I don't want to get too into it yet. And here we do have the Witherbloom, Dean, legendary creature, Vampire Warlock. What? Menace lifelink, 1/1 for 1. That is good. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. When you do, you may pay 2. If you do create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with whenever this creature dies, you gain 1 life. Whoa. Woo-wah. Dean of the Root. A 4/4 for 4, and whenever you gain life, you may pay 1. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain trample until the end of turn. What? Holy Macarenas. We're going to be doing a dance here soon because that is great, and that's going to go in Abzan counters. Absolutely. Moving on to the Dean of Perfection and the Dean of Expression. The Expression is a 4/4/5 mana Ifrit Shaman, which is pretty cool. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of each opponent's library. Until the end of turn, you may cast spells from among those exiled cards, and you may spend mana as though it were any color to cast those spells. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, put a +1/+1 counter on the Dean of Expression. Wow. Now that is interesting. The Dean of Perfection, however, is a 3 CMC 2/2 Djinn Wizard, and we can tap it to exile an instant or sorcery card from our hand and put 3 hone counters on it, and it gains at the beginning of upkeep. If this card is exiled, remove a hone counter from it, and when the last hone counter is removed from this card, if it's exiled, you may cast it. It costs 4 less to cast this way. Interesting. Huh. I really have no thoughts on that. I'm really confused about this one here. Like, the blue seems weird, but the red seems like it would be like a really good late game engine potentially. Again, leave your comments, thoughts, and opinions down below, and we get the last Dean here, which is the Boros, or I don't even know what it was called. I forget. Anyways, the Dean of Order for 3 mana, 1/3. Other tapped creatures you control get +1/+0. Other untapped creatures you control get +0/+1. Very interesting. Whenever you attack, untap each creature you control, then untap any number of other creatures you control. Wow, that is kind of really interesting for an aggro deck. And then on the other side, the Dean of Chaos, we can tap it to discard a card, drawing a card, 2 mana, 2/2, of course, pay 5, tap it, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-legendary, non-land card with mana 3 or less. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put all revealed cards you did not cast this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. Wow, that is serious shenanigans, and I know a lot of players who would like that. Anyways, moving on. The lands. We talked about the lands being absolutely amazing. Nothing else super stood out to me. Confront the Past is really good. It's a lesson that we should mention for 1/+X, so we can be grabbing this from our sideboard with a learn card. Choose one, return target planeswalker card from the graveyard with X mana or less to the battlefield. Wow, that's really, really good. And then, of course, remove twice X loyalty counters from target planeswalker or sorry, that and opponent controls, which is just great removal as well. So whether or not you're bringing a planeswalker back from your graveyard or nuking one of your opponents, this is going to do the job for you, and it's able to sit in your sideboard just ready to be used at any time that you cast a learn spell, which is quite cool. Let's see if we can find anything else that's cool. We do have the Archmage Amirtris, 2/2 for 4. Magecraft, whenever you cast an instant, copy, sorcery or instant, I should say, draw a card. So whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery card, draw a card. This is great. So the draw ability whenever you cast is very, very good, especially if we can find out some way to get a mana loop going, and if we can generate mana, much like we did on the Steamkin, if you'll remember this. Whenever we cast a red card, we got to put a counter on it, and then we could take the counters away to add mana. We could potentially be finding ourselves in some casting loops, because I know that they are trying to push Storm as well, which is pretty cool. So moving on from that, we have the Dragon's God Elite, a 2/2 for 2 mana Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, put a +1/+1 counter on the Elite, and we can pay 6 to double the number of counters on it. And wow, right? So this is gonna get big within some ramp spells, and it's a nice 2/2, right? I really feel like this is pushed. Moving on, we do have Rowan and Will, Scholar of Frost and Scholar of Sparks. First thing I want to mention is the Scholar of Sparks is only 3 converted mana. Instants and sorceries you cast cost 1 less to cast on each of them. 2 loyalty, +1. Sparks deals 1 damage to each opponent. If you draw 3 or more cards this turn, it deals 3 damage to each opponent instead. You know, that's pretty cool. -4, you get an emblem with whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you may pay 2. If you do copy that spell, you may choose new targets for the copy. Oh my gosh. That is worth its weight in gold, that -4. And it comes in with 2. That's not even going to be that hard to get to. Will, Scholar of Frost for 5 mana, 4 loyalty, same passive ability, +1. Up to 1 target creature has base power and toughness of 0/2 until your next turn, shutting down one of their creatures. -3, draw 2 cards. And -7, exile up to 5 target permanent cards. For each permanent exile this way, its controller creates a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token, which is kind of insane, right? So we could be, playing permanents like the egg or the globe, for example, that just help us draw, get through our deck, and then we can exile those non-creature permanents that, or maybe even Omen of the Sun, anything, or Omen of the Sea, I should say, maybe anything really that provides value and is now in play still. We can exile those to create a 4/4, even the sagas potentially before they fizzle, if the last one's not good, like for example Binding of the Old Gods. This will be really, really cool. But moving on, we have the commanders, and I don't play commander yet, but if you're interested in that, those will be there. I think you will still be able to buy these cards in arena with your wild cards, but they will not come in the packs. You'll have to go out of your way to spend your wild cards to get them, and that's fine. This is something that we typically do because the commanders are so powerful, especially in standard, if you can build around them. So we've got the Twin Casters. We already talked about this within the video. A 2/2 with Ward, and if you make tokens double that many tokens, right? We do have the Demagogue, which is really quite interesting. A 1/3 bird warlock for 3 with flying, and whenever a player attacks one or more of your opponents, if that opponent has more life than another of your opponents, that attacking player draws a card, and you put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. So I don't think this is relevant at all, because we'll only have one opponent right now in arena, but hey, what do I know? We've got the Reconstructor for 4/4 with Vigilance. We can pay 1, sacrifice an artifact. Target creature we control gets +2/+0 until the end of turn. We can also pay X, tapping it to exile an artifact card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create 2 tokens that are copies of that exiled card. Activate this only as a sorcery, which is actually relatively interesting if you ask me. We have the Essence Seer, a 3/3, and we can pay 1, tap it to choose another target creature, put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number of life gained this turn, or the amount of life lost this turn, whichever is greater. Activate this as a sorcery, and that's actually quite interesting as well. Finally, and my favorite, is Zafria Thunder Conductor, a 1/4 for 4 with Magecraft. Whenever you cast an instant or copy, set instant or sorcery spell, scry 1. If that spell's mana is value 5 or greater, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. That spell's mana was 10 or greater. The collector will deal 10, or the conductor, it says collector in the bottom text and it says conductor up top. That's funny. So the conductor will deal 10 damage to an opponent chosen at random, and I think that's the mistype or the misprint there, which is interesting. And then we already talked about the Sage and the Onyx, two new planeswalkers, which are cool. If you're unfamiliar, the Sage is great. Each other planeswalker you control has the loyalty ability of the Enigma Sage. So all of our planeswalkers will have +2, which is the main reason to run this. +2, scry 1, -X, create a 0/0 green green fractal creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it. It's fine. And -8, search your library for an instant or sorcery card that shares the color with the planeswalker. Exile that card, then shuffle your you may cast the card without paying its mana cost. So, because we can have these abilities on any other planeswalker, that's why that text is in there, because we could be, minusing on, say, Liliana, and then we'll have to use a black spell instead of a blue or a green. Professor Onyx, Magecraft, whenever you copy an instant or sorcery or cast one, opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Great. +1, you lose 1 life. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put 1 of them into your hand and the rest in your graveyard. Sure. -3, each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls. That's not bad. And -8, each opponent may discard a card. If they don't, they lose 3 life, and repeat this process 6 more times, which is, that's going to be kind of a dirty do right there with Vorinclex. So that's all we have for spoilers so far. Of course, you can follow along with the website and refresh the page multiple times a day to get the latest spoilers. And again, I really recommend that you break down and run through all of these cards more in depth, but unfortunately we don't have that kind of schedule available to us, and I know the attention span isn't always so high with y'all. So again, thank you so much for your time and attention. I really appreciate it. I hope you're looking forward to Strixhaven. Obviously you can find lots of more content for that to come on my channel. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the channel to your friends, families, MTG playgroups, local game stores, support financially on Twitch, Patreon, YouTube, through Amazon, and Great Viking Games into the AM, and by downloading Magic the Gathering Arena Assistant, available for free to all of the Windows users. Don't forget to take part in our 500,000 gem giveaway, free cash prized monthly tournaments, Brawl and Artisan formats, $10 giveaway on every YouTube video if it gets 100 likes. All you have to do is comment to enter, and then we have 100 one-on-one coaching sessions that also comes with $20. So lots of giveaways going on with the channel as well, brought to you really solely by our supporters. So, big thank you, not only from myself, but from the whole community, for those of you who have been supporting. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you soon in the next video.